Okay. Me and Carson were thinking to ourselves, what would someone want to see right now? And they want to learn and they want to know about how to make ads successful in Q1. Carson, it's time, isn't it?
We're back, baby. We're back. It's New Year's Eve. Tomorrow's New Year's. So happy New Year to everybody. We thought last week would be the last one of 2020. Well, I guess it still was, because tomorrow when this comes out, it'll be 2026. But
Yeah.
we're back. We've got a
We're back.
great episode today. I'm pumped for it. It's all about Q1, how you can succeed, what you need to be thinking about, what consumers are thinking about, most importantly, and just how to operate best. Luke and I are both not home, as you see different settings this week, but we are still at it, rocking and rolling. And dude, let's dive in. What do you think most brands go wrong with Q1?
I think the problem is they're trying to do the FOMO and they're trying to do the urgency type of ads, and that's gone now for the time being. Because I think if you can imagine, you've got to look at the macro of your consumer, right? It's post-Christmas, their wallets have tightened a little bit, right? Lots of brands have paused their advertising now for the Christmas, after Black Friday, really. And I think what brands focus on is they focus too much on the urgency and FOMO side and not enough on the kind of educational top of funnel. I mean, this is the time to educate, in my opinion. It's the greatest quarter for it. But it's interesting, right? Me and Carson kind of talked about this off camera. The only category that we can think of that actually thrives in Q1 is the health and wellness niche, which for us, that is something that we've seen across the accounts. And I think the question I have for you, Carson, right back at you, is why do you think health and wellness continues to do well in Q1?
I mean, listen, it is not hard to, based on the state of the world this time of year, to pinpoint what people are doing, right? It's all about New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm going to do this year. I'm going to be a better version of me. I'm going to go lose weight. I'm going to get ripped. I'm going to put on muscle. I'm going to run a marathon, do whatever, right? People are setting goals. People are challenging themselves. And it's the time of year when they're most heightened in order for improvement. Like New Year means they get a start over, right? They get a do-over from last year. And most of the time, people did terrible with their New Year's resolutions. Do you know how many people fail New Year's resolutions in 2 weeks?
I'm going to say what? How many? Well, first of all, that's an insight.
Guess what I have now used as a headline for 4 clients?
That's ridiculous. I'm guessing you've used that as an insight. Yeah, that's genius.
88% of New Year's diets fail in the first 2 weeks has been the headline. And then it's like,
don't be
the same point as a CTA, be in the 12%.
Yeah.
And it has crushed. It's like top of the ad account. But I want to go back a second too, because like the reason this time of year is so tough for everybody but health and wellness is because most of the time brands that aren't in that space, the improvement, the health, wellness, whatever space, people just spent 6 to 8 weeks just crushing their wallets, spending bonus checks, spending savings, buying gifts. They're tired of it. They're tired of spending. Maybe people go on vacations this time of year, but they're not really spending on materialistic stuff, right? That portion is now phasing out. Based on that, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage for January and February. Really, those 2 months are kind of tough. The only lead up maybe week you get is the week leading up to Valentine's. Maybe if you're lucky, you can get 10 days, but really things slow down. January, February don't pick up back again until March.
Yeah.
But there are ways that you can position your product to be able to sell more this time of year. And we'll dive into a little bit more of that stuff and what you can do. But the biggest thing right now is just you need to, like Luke said, educate your customer. This is the time of year when the most top of funnel education-based stuff can happen because people are looking for new things. They're looking for new products. They're looking for new services. They're looking for new solutions, whatever. They're finding out more about themselves and problems that they have, right? So you need to be able to understand your customer more and tie yourself into the top of funnel plays right now to be able to go and introduce yourself to people. Think about January and February as networking, right? You're going out, you're shaking hands with people to be able to just introduce yourself and get your foot in the door, right?
Precisely.
That's
Precisely.
that's my if you're not a health and wellness brand, that's my outlook on it this
Yeah.
time of year. Right? It's a reset quarter. It's not a growth quarter.
I agree. I agree with that. And just
And
to add on to that, Carson, because you said that perfectly, so I want to add something on to what you're saying, and then you can have the reins back onto you. It's just what I think is really important is that I think when you look at the top brands that are not health and wellness, what you'll see them doing is they'll be focusing more on retention in this kind of period. They'll be looking at kind of the CRO fixes, low cost testing. They may be actually testing ideas for February and March. I think what I've seen is that certain brands will kind of take a break, but I actually think the smarter ones are doubling down on that infrastructure play. Like, let's have some landing page tests ready to go. Let's try some new funnels. Like, to me, January is a perfect time to kind of reduce ad spend, but also just get your landing pages ready to go so you can hit February and March really strong. But sorry to interrupt you, Carson. That's what to add.
no, dude, butt in at any time. Do like the point you're making too, because you don't have to like here's the thing. People think they need to be profitable month over month. You don't. You need to be profitable at the end of the year. So like if you have 2 months where you're testing and finding out valuable information, that's a win, right? If that's going to help you for the next 10 months of the year succeed, why would you be pissed that you maybe broke even or lost a little bit of money those 2 months? Like I get it. We're all emotionally attached to it, but at the same time, you have to take a step back and be able to realize, oh, this could help us down the line. And if you're a seasoned brand, you probably know this, right? You know, okay, X, Y, and Z months are poor for us, but we can spend those months probably learning more information, seeing what does well, and maybe just people won't buy. But Q1 is a reset quarter. It's not necessarily a growth quarter, as we would say. In terms of understanding the consumer, this is what they're doing right now, right? They're paying off credit cards. They're probably regretting purchases or returning gifts. And then they're starting to get into this routine of health and wellness, like we've said, but they're also a little bit more, there's a more of an identity shift happening. And this is why the health and wellness stuff succeeds. But there's more to this because when you talk about this new year, new me identity shift, right? It doesn't just apply to people getting fit or being healthier or whatever. This could apply to anything, right? If you're a brand who's maybe in apparel, let's say you could be fitness apparel. Yeah, maybe health and wellness, but like you can still position yourself with identities, around the new year goal, right? Like trying to run a marathon this year, question mark. This is what you need for running, right? X, Y, and Z. There's multiple ways to attach yourselves to these new identities. You just have to find and know your customer and what's important to them to be able to do it.
I mean, I think, to be honest with you, if you're a non-health and wellness brand or you're kind of slightly adjacent to it, this would be the time that I'd be looking, and this is what we're doing with some of our clients, is you're looking at kind of post-purchase surveys. You're just really doubling down on that to allow yourself to get the data points. Because again, what is an ad? It's an insight, right? It's an insight that people will hopefully resonate with. So I feel like January, if you're non-health and wellness, but if you are slightly adjacent, I think if you are still running paid in this period, definitely having a way where you can, from the back of that, get using your email, understand why your customers are actually buying. You break that down to really granular level and then push that into February and March. But look, as Carson said perfectly, right? This is the best time if you are a health and wellness brand or slightly adjacent, you want to capture the intent, right? That's motivational and habit building. New year, new me. That's kind of,
So kind of going off of all of this as well, Luke, like what are some formats that
mm.
don't work in Q1 and what are some formats that do work?
Look, I think the big trend for 2026 coming on will be you will see an increase in whitelisting. I mean, that's why we did the episode last week, because we thought me and Carson saw this on more X communities, more communities that we're both in, and we're seeing this being a common trend. So I think you'll see more UGC and raw creative videos, much more than we're seeing. And I think actually, everyone now knows that, personal, like really personal kind of like videos, like will be polished testimonials, right? Like, this helped me through the busy weeks. I think it's really important in January to understand the mindset of the consumer. And if they're all trying to change their habits, break old habits and make new habits, it's talking to them as a raw, using your UGC team, making those raw videos, making it nice and direct, saying, hey, I remember I had too much Christmas turkey this year, etc. So make it very granular in the first hook. That's what I'm going to see more of, I think. and definitely before and after stuff. I think you'll see that going through as well. I don't know. I think again, short form educational stuff. I mean, look, we were saying that something that I'm noticing. I think it's going to come out more like whiteboard explainers, myth building, 3 reasons why this fails, and then how that your product actually helps them solve that. That's what I'm saying. What about you, Carson? What are you saying?
Well, just based off of what I've experienced, what usually stops working is like heavy lifestyle fantasy stuff, like what people dream of being in terms of like the super fancy bullshit. Like people don't really care about that this time of year. They care about, their own self-improvement, not the flexing and aspiration and hype bullshit and the high production hype videos, stuff like that. Like people just, and the urgency that doesn't work as well this time of year, right? Like people want to see themselves and what they're struggling with and what they can attainably be, right? That's what's working. And formats that do work is just being very, not even really format as we kind of talk about it, but just being super clear. You don't need to be very creative this time of year. You need to be very clear, cut and dry, and speak to the identity that somebody wants to become as well as what they want to avoid being, right? That's how you're gonna get people. And it's that comes from like the honesty, the imperfect, if it's like UGC stuff, before and after, like you said, those are great. Like the progress, transformation, week 1 versus week 4, week or day 1, day 90, whatever. Like use numbers. This time of year is primed for you to use data as headlines, as call outs, as testimonials, whatever. Just you like find the data, make it concrete, and give it to people in a way that they're going to care about it.
Precisely. And I think actually, I mean, I did a post on LinkedIn today about this. I think the 2 clear things I can see happening in 2026 is you're going to have more organic, messy human. Because if you think about it, with this kind of with AI now, people are wanting the really raw, unauthentic, low quality lighting. It doesn't feel like an ad. And then the flip side of that is it's the other extreme way. It feels very much like an ad, but because it's so well written, they don't care. I think they're your 2 extremes now. And they're kind of my 2 North Stars. It's like when we're making ads now in accounts, it's like, right, is this going to be an ad? Like an obvious ad? Or will this be an ad that isn't obvious, but is very organic, very messy? That kind of like accidental energy. It's UGC, but very low production. Like the gift to self stories. So what I mean by that is like, someone brought this for me and now I won't stop X. Like I can see that being a very popular trend in formats in Jan, looking at, December ruined my routine. Again, that's understanding where your consumer's at in their mind. Like I can see those formats being very popular in UGC. That's something that I can see happening.
Well, and diving into like the messaging part, like you said, is I want to very heavily emphasize a mistake that most brands make this time of year. They try to go the route of motivation and not the route of routine. You need to use this time of year to get people to stay longer and extend your LTV. You don't do that just by motivating them. You do that by attaching whatever your product is to a routine and showing them why they need that in their routine so that they can't live without it. And then once they experience the product, they know like, this is part of my routine now. I can't live without this. I need this in my life, whatever, right? But that is a massive mistake people make is motivation and routine. You need to attach things to a routine. Motivation is short-lived, routine is long-lived.
It's the intention gap, right? It's to look at the Snickers ad. You're not you when you're hungry, right? It's tying your product. I mean, I think the best products that rip on D2C are the ones that the consumer understands exactly when they should have it. Example, why do most mushroom coffee brands offer you a free cup or mug? Because they want you to think, right, it's coffee. Oh, I need to have my mushroom coffee now, right? So I think you're absolutely bang on about that. It's allowing your product to fall into that routine and make it a habit. And it isn't just about like, yeah, you can lose weight. It's you've just done a 5K run. This is your recovery, so you can run more than tomorrow, etc. It's having that link. I fully agree with that.
Well, and it's also what makes sense right now, right? If you're trying to get in good shape, you need a routine. You can't just have motivation because discipline is what's going to get you far, and routine is part of discipline.
Yeah, 100%.
Motivation, you're just up and down. It's the line graph is like this. Discipline is like this.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And so I think what me and Carson, and this is, I mean, if I'm speaking for you, tell me and I'll recorrect. But I think what we're trying to say very clearly from for what messaging will work in Q1 is you've got to forget what was happening in Q4. That was all about obligation, deadline driven buying. And it's now looking at Q1 where there's kind of a bit more introspection and self investment, right? And I think what's very clear for me, and kind of if you look at the Reddits and look at X and what people are saying, customers are now kind of in recovery mode where they're being a bit more cautious, they're a bit more reflective. They're also guilt ridden from the holidays, right? We've all eaten a bit too much this holiday. You put your hand up, right? We can all admit it. Christmas turkey, a bit too much wine, etc. So let's break down the winning themes that I think are going to be very popular in Q1. Do you want me to go first? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, for what's gonna win in Q1.
Yep, happy for that.
Yeah, let's do it. So
Okay, perfect.
for me, it's all about the emotion. This is the most emotional time of the year for people, in my opinion, because they're so prone to wanting to be better and not be who they were last year, right? They want to accomplish certain goals, they want to avoid certain problems and pain points. And even if it's short lived, I think it's still the most emotional time of the year. So you need to use that in your ads in order to get people to buy since it's going to be a slow season, right? Because part of that emotion is I need to not spend money because, I was spending too much on alcohol. Like I'm going to move that budget and spend less on this health and wellness stuff, whatever it might be. But it's a very emotional time of year. So use that to your advantage to show people the value you provide and how you can help them, right? That's one. Number two, don't just stick with new year, new me angle. It will crush you because that's when the meta starts tagging everything is the same. You need to continue with that differentiation, right? So the creative diversity is very big and Andromeda hasn't changed. It doesn't care what time of year it is, right? So that's a big thing as well. Test these different formats, test new messaging. And honestly, I think another winning thing for me is start to play with different format types if you're using statics. Like everybody knows that, you have the ones that are a little bit different with like the phone reminders and the calling and the Apple Notes and whatever, the what is it? The ad like the cart checkouts, right? Like
I'll
try to
check out
see
your
if there's any new ideas, maybe writing on a window or a glass table or sunglasses, right? Like start looking at new formats and see if there's any way you can come up with something completely different, right? I think that's a good like it's the best time of year to do it. Test these new formats, see what works. Especially if you're lowering budgets. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with lowering budgets this time of year. If you're still going to be testing stuff, that's a win.
and also as well, I think the common theme that Carson is saying in the formats is again, if you look at the two extremes, either it's an ad and it's obviously an ad, or it's very messy, it's very organic. And I think Carson's example of sticky notes, the sunglasses, like writing, like using a white whiteboard pen on a sunglass like frame example, like lens, sorry. It's stuff where it breaks the pattern
Yeah.
because I think this is going to be a big trend for this year, or kind of yeah, or for next year. So
Well, and another one that like I think about is try to do stuff that's just organic video. Like
well,
try
this is the big
try
one.
things. One thing that comes to mind is like how people will have like a coffee and then they'll pour the creamer in it and it reveals a message.
That could work. That's
Try
good.
something like that. Like there is no limit to what you could try. The worst thing that can happen is nothing gets spent.
Well,
No harm, no foul.
it's interesting now because if you look at all the trends of Meta and their recent acquisitions of certain companies, I think they bought Manus yesterday, like an AI agent automation thing. That is not the best way to describe that product, but that's how I look at it. And I think what's very clear to me is that more brands will be able to test more and more concepts quicker. And if you want to keep alive and you don't want to feel you're falling behind, it's just testing at a rapid rate. That I get, like, if you want to be in the top 1% of brands, just making a burner account that's targeted to your ICP and you're just testing videos and different hooks and messaging, like you're already above the rest of people, what they're doing. I guarantee. Like so many brands aren't using organic and testing on organic.
No.
Because the
That's
biggest,
that's something that people should do for a Q1 strategy. Go harder on organic. You need it.
because they judge you at the wall because it's like they'll go, oh, but what if it's not, oh, it may not be brand guidelines. It's well, have no link to your brand on that organic. That is just a testing field. Just test on there, and if it works on that kind of like again, if it works on that branded account. It will work on your branded account even more, won't it? So I think just allow yourself to fail quicker, but learn quicker. Yeah, I mean, look, the only thing I want to add to the winning themes is I would I would look at it kind of look, if you're in the health and wellness space, it is saturated as we know, but I'd reframe root causes. So what I mean by that is I would be looking at kind of like, for example, it's not arthritis, it's low estrogen, right? So I'd be looking at stuff like that where you're trying to reframe the causes. It's like an educational slash like mechanism shift. That's how I would word that. And again, as you said, very clever, like empathy and reframing. I think that you said very smart, right? It's an emotional time. I think people want outcomes as well. So if you are doing I don't know, save 20%, I would do it like save 20% on your new morning routine, etc.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Make the discount have an outcome to it. Why stuff like that.
Yeah. One, as you said too, like lean into retention. I
Oh,
want to circle back to that part is like that's a huge thing. Don't forget that you have existing customers. Lean on them
yeah,
and test new stuff with them, right?
yeah.
Whether it's email, whether it's retargeting, whatever it might be, nurturing, just ads in your funnel, right? So people who are already most aware, try stuff with that, right? Like there's plenty of ways to do it. Multiple ways to skin the cat, as we say. But yeah, I think like in terms of winning strategies, that pretty much covers it, right? Like Luke, what else would you say is like a closing thought maybe to
On this
anybody
section,
this section?
yeah. I mean, look again. Things to avoid: aggressive urgency and FOMO. Don't be pushy. I think generic New Year sales stuff is just pointless, as you were saying. New Year, new me. I mean, how many brands are doing that? Come on, right? Lean into
Make it
education.
different.
Make it different. But I think also the insight I would give here is just match the energy, right? When the audience is tired, they just want calm, right? They want to be educated. They want that kind of more story driven than usual. And then that would be my insight really. Just match the energy of your audience at the time they've been in. Actually understand like their mindset. And also, I think a lot of people don't do this right. When you're working in a DC brand or it is your own brand, think about what you've been purchasing, even it may have nothing to do with your product. Just think kind of what mindset you're in right now. I mean, the joke is at this time is no one knows what day it is because it's such a like from the 24th till New Year's Day, it's just carnage because family round. So have that insight as well. That what are the customers' mind right now? Where are they at in their mind? I think that's matching the energy to the audience of what they're feeling. That'd
I
be my
agree.
insight. What about you, Carson?
No, I think that covers kind of everything for that.
Okay, well, it's time now for our favorite top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? I mean, I think what would be quite useful is maybe we could just talk about what we'd be doing in each of these three areas. I think the big takeaway so far is focus. If you're a non-health and wellness brand, then I think top of funnel is where you're spending most of your time. I think this is where you're kind of looking at the unaware, problem aware, maybe some longer form educational videos, a little bit of problem agitation. But I think for me at the moment, if you're non-health and wellness, it's warming up the audience. It's leaning into that education. It's telling them, it's just dropping the seeds of doubt, but it's not being too pushy here because this isn't the time to sell them. I don't think at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you're health and wellness, I would slightly skew it differently. I'd probably be a bit more middle funnel, bottom of funnel.
Yep.
Just because there is that new year, new me vibe. Do not use that as your headline in any copy. I swear to God. But it is that energy and vibe at the moment. So I think that it is a good time to sell if you're a health and wellness brand. What do you think, Carson?
No, I agree. I think honestly I have nothing to add there because I think that's perfect. Like if you're health and wellness, you should not to say you should not be spending time at top of funnel because you do and you need to. People are looking for new products. But if you are going top of funnel, you need to be doing what I think three core things just as a basis. One, you need to be educating people, right? Everything needs to, like the top of funnel should be education based. Common misconceptions, what people might be struggling with and they don't know about it, what people might want to accomplish and what can help get them there. Relatable pain points, that's a big one. And then also being specific, but broad enough to where anyone can look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is me. And what I mean by that, to get a little bit more specific with what I'm saying is, the stat that I mentioned earlier of 88% of people fail New Year's diets in 2 weeks, right? That's specific. But if you say be in the 12%, that's broad, right? You're speaking to anybody who wants to not be a part of the 88%. Now,
Yeah.
whether they are
And
or not is up to them.
no
But
one
it's
wants to.
specific enough to where Meta will know the product, your product, and what you're trying to sell, and it will deliver it to the people it thinks are best, right? But it's not so specific in terms of like, if you're a male over the age of 45 and struggle with X, this time of year is perfect for you for whatever. Like, you don't need to be that specific right now, but you need to be able to give people a reason to buy from you with that specificity. And I'm not saying what I just said wouldn't work. I think it absolutely was. The more specific, the better. But be broad but grounded, I guess is the best way to put it.
No, I agree. And I would think the only thing I would add to that would be when you're looking again at the top of funnel stage, as I was saying, this type of the content that works right now for Jan will be problem aware, not product aware. Look at, as we keep saying this, look at the post December damage, right? To people's sleep. I mean, God, it's affected my sleep, gut, routine, and finances, right? So have that in your mind. And then also understand that I would say that, again, bold number, that probably 70% of people are probably desiring the sense of calm and control now going into Jan. So like simple angles I'd run, for example, be like, if your routine still feels broken, start here. Or one reset I'm making this year that actually stuck. Again, working into the insight that Carson gave, that 88% of people fail their diets in 2 weeks. It's all connected. I think there's a big thing to be said about looking at statistics, as Carson does a lot. I know he does that a lot on Mad Advertising. That's his big thing. Looking at the statistics and then playing off what angles come from that. That would be
Yes.
a great example. One
Yes.
reset I made this year that actually stuck. That's linked to the insight that 88% of people don't actually finish their routine after 2 weeks.
You
So
need
you
to
see,
be able to tie data and statistics to emotions. People don't just care about facts, they care about what it makes them feel. Right. So
precisely.
if you just toss out a number for just anything, right? That doesn't mean people are going to care. You need to make them care with the emotional side of the fact.
Precisely. I mean, look, one of the ads that we're running that I'm quite excited about is a kind of like a non-functional, like a functional beer, and we're looking at kind of like health. We're looking at the health angle a lot in Jan, and we're looking at kind of like data scores, like data sleep, right? Because everyone has an 8 sleep, everyone's monitoring their sleep with Whoop and Garmin's and Polar, for example, and we thought that would be a very interesting insight to look into of how many people are conscious that they're not getting good enough sleep recently. Quickly, middle of funnel, I think, again, it doesn't really change, does it? It's trust, proof, and objection handling. What really works here is like failed attempt stories. So what I mean by that is I used to really struggle with my recovery after a run, especially because of December. I stopped running, etc. But I've started to use this product and I feel more excited to run and my energy levels are higher. Again, a really good one here is like comment-led objection ads. So what I would do if I was a running brand, I'll just keep to the running niche. I would have a video ad running with the comment. You know how you can respond to a comment on Instagram,
Yes.
and I'd have like a comment-led objection there, right? And then where would I source these from? You look at reviews, comments, DMs, and yeah, that's what I
I'll
do.
tell you what I'm seeing work really well right now, middle of funnel. Organic looking FAQs, those are crushing,
Yeah.
and news headlines.
Well, yeah, breaking news. Yeah, big time, big time.
Yes.
Yeah, that was huge.
Dude, we've got I think we've made 3 and we just made a 4th for one of my clients.
Yeah, look at that.
And all 3 of them have just absolutely destroyed everything else. Cause it looks organic. Like if you think about like the media companies, right, that run organics, ESPN, Bleacher Report, Puberty, Bro Bibble, Barstool, whatever other news outlets you look at, they have the same structure. It's image, black gradient going up, text, separation bar, maybe a breaking news or a logo or something, right? We have used this, and dude, I'm telling you right now, it has been lethal. Lethal. It has been crushing.
It would do because again, it falls into the 2 camps. Either it looks like an ad, and if it's obviously an ad, make it the best direct response you've ever done, or make it organic, messy, and make it look very native.
Yes.
They are the 2 games you're playing in 2026. Everything else is just going to be crap.
Yep.
I can't say that more. And Carson's given a great example there. Breaking news, it falls on the messy side. It doesn't look like it won't feel like an ad, and it's messy and it's beautiful. Fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that's working for you.
Yeah, yeah, dude, those are crushing. So if anybody wants some free sauce,
Yeah.
there it is.
Mate,
Well,
this
this whole
podcast
podcast
is free
is free
sauce all
sauce,
day
but
long. Yeah.
that one's like that one's very, very free. Yeah, test those out for real. If you're watching right now, like go test those out. They've been crushing.
And again,
And if you want me or Luke to do it for you, just hit us up.
and again, I'm pushing this more and more, right? If you wanted to double check it if you want to double check before you make the static, you could just get on your burner account, use the same UI you would use, like breaking news thing, and then run it and test it and see what happens. Like,
Yes.
it's incredible the amount of people need to understand that it's so important, right? You will be beaten by you won't be beaten by your competition because they're more creative than you. You'll be beaten, I think, because they're just more creative in the sense of they just run more tests than you, right?
Yes.
What is creativity in the end of the day? It's just like, I think it's just attempts on goal, right? It's how many times you fire a shot until one hits, right?
Yeah.
I've posted videos where one video, it's two videos, right? Exact same video. I've changed the title hook by one word and it's increased by 100,000 views. It's insane. It's all about how fast you can test. It's just numbers of creatives. I don't think creativity is a thing now. It's just, well, I think it is still important, but it's the number of tests on goal. And then when you find that winner, you double down.
Yes.
And then I think it's ad strategies for Q1. Is that what we're going to finish off with today's episode? You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Go for it. You got this.
So I think what we were saying, I think the big takeaway so far has been, if you are a health and wellness brand, I think it's all steam ahead. I think it's that habit forming, not too motivational, because that's not going to create the intent to purchase, but more kind of understanding the pain of your customer and how to actually write your story within their mindset. But if you are non-health and wellness, I think it's kind of retention first. It's looking at your email, looking at SMS flows, getting those updated. I think it's just getting yourself ready for that launch into February and March. But I think the only things that I would say from a strategies for Q1 to succeed, I think it's understanding that you need to have clarity in the offers and the offers that you're running. I think as well, just understanding that you need to adapt fast, right? The customer mindset has not changed, right?
So I think for this, you don't be as loud and as urgent as everybody was during Black Friday. I think that's the biggest thing people need to really take away from everything that we've said is you don't want to use this, not boastful, but this fake urgency and scarcity, right? Like you need to be, in my opinion, going more from the side of the risk-free stuff, right? The guarantees, free returns, maybe bundling stuff and using like value reframes, right? Give people reassurance, make it everything logical, and then make it so that they feel safe buying it, right? They don't have any risk. That's in terms of bottom of funnel, right? But like, that's kind of the basis of like everything except for clear beats clever. That's a big thing this time of year. Just be clear. No reason to go be clever and make it so people don't understand whatever, but I did not mean to rhyme there.
It was beautiful and we all enjoyed it.
But that's pretty much like all I've got. Like what else do you think?
Well, I think just especially for this quarter, education over discounts. I do believe at this point, like, you got to imagine how many discounts has your audience seen in the last month. They're going to be so saturated from seeing it. I guarantee they'll switch off.
Yeah,
They
they're not
will
gonna
just
care.
Well, they've seen 45%, 75% off, right? They've seen all the free gifts you're offering them. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked in the next year that people are offering a free house with purchase at some rate. You never know. In some weird, like, I don't know, like sweepstake or anything. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look, I've seen offers now where people are now saying, look, hey, here is a free tasting guide that's worth £25. Who came up with that, do you wonder? Right? Like, you're going to see more of that. So I think just focusing more on the educational side. You can always do the discounting and the free gifts like in February and March, but January, just educate. The dividends will run for the whole year, in my view.
Yes.
You really educate in Jan, right? because it's education. People don't
That's it,
forget,
dude.
and they'll buy it. Right? They could see an ad in January that educates them, nurtures them, and they buy in March, right? But also, I'd probably be looking at cohorts as well. I would actually be very when you get the customers you get in Jan, I'd monitor them as a cohort and see how long they go through your product as well. If it's a habit forming product, if it's like a mushroom coffee brand, or if it's like an electrolyte brand, I'd be looking at the cohorts coming through that Jan and what customers you pick up and see how long they last, and then see where they drop off. That's what I'd be looking at
I think
personally.
that's a great insight too, and great point.
So what are big takeaways here? Would you say? I mean, I think there's too many here. I mean, look, I think the big one is, as you were saying, clarity beats cleverness. Psychology will always beat tactics. Understand your human, understand the fundamental of your customer, and I think actually
And
the
go
big thing
crazy with your testing. Go
yes,
test
that
whatever.
honestly,
Those are my big three.
just test like a madman. Don't stop testing, and I think you'll do well.
Yeah.
And I think as well,
those are
again,
the core three, honestly, and focus on retention, maybe core four.
yeah. But I think also as well, just this is also the time to look around as well to get inspiration. But do not look in your own niche for inspiration. It drives me up the. Go look somewhere else. Like if you are a running brand, there is 0 point looking at other running brand because what are you going to learn from it? Zero. Like you may learn a couple of things, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to say you're going to learn anything, but if you are in the running niche, I don't know why I focus on running today, but we're going to go with running.
You know what I've got for you? Actually, sorry to butt in, but this is a very important point. Here's how I think of looking outside your niche. Start by looking at a brand it would make sense for you to collaborate with that is not in your industry.
Nice.
Start
That's
with that.
very, very
And
good
then
insight.
go search whatever, right? Like I'm not saying confine yourself to that, but that's a great place to start. Like if you're a running clothing brand, go look at health and wellness supplement you would be a good fit to collab with. And that won't be all of them, but go look at somebody who's fit for a collaboration in your head, right? A hypothetical. That's a great place to start because it gives you ideas based on overlapping audiences.
Yeah. And again, another way, if you're like, well, okay, Carson, where do I find this information? Do a post-purchase survey. Get your customers that you've got on email and make them do a survey and then have one of the questions be, what other brands do you buy from?
Yeah.
Simple.
And here, I'll give Vince, if you're watching this, I think you should go look at ice bath companies.
Oh, that's a great observation because, you could do some great work with them.
Yes.
Interesting. Because that's actually an interesting question then to you then. Do a lot of, this is probably not on, we'll do it off camera. But yeah, no, that's a very good answer. That's a very good observation. Yeah, Vince, if you're listening, definitely take that as an insight. But look, that is the Q1 success for companies. Hopefully I guarantee this will be helpful for some people. Again, this is the year of testing. This is the year of fast iteration cycles. And I think if you really want to hit the ground running in Q1, if you're a health and wellness brand, then full steam ahead. If you're not a health and wellness brand, run a couple of ads, of course, but from a testing perspective. There is no need to ramp spend because you're also competing with all the other brands that are in the health and wellness. So just calm, relax the waters, but you hit Feb very hard.
Yep.
That's all from me.
It's all for me. We appreciate everybody watching. Thank you guys for such a great 17 weeks of 2025. We are going to keep this rolling into 2026. We're so glad that everybody's been early in supporting us. Like we're very, very grateful for you. I personally think that e-com podcasts are going to kind of take off this year. That's one of my takes for the 2026. I think e-com podcasts are going to take a step up this year because I think there's a lot of value add for information from every side, whether it's email, advertising, operating, whatever it might be, right? In the e-com space, I think there's a lot of room for those to blow up. And I'm glad we're early, in my opinion, to that.
Yeah. And rumor has it there could be a guest next week, but I don't want to excite people too much, but there may be a guest next week. So we'll leave it on that one. There could be a guest next week. So leave you on that one. But look, it's been Luke, it's been Carson. And as we always say, peace.